I just realized my mic was muted. Alright, I'm not muted anymore, right? Everyone can hear me? Okay, good. I'm providing an update on the latest weather event because there is some potential for some more elevated risk of severe weather than was originally anticipated. The Storm Prediction Center has updated their potential to a slight risk for parts of southern Indiana, parts of northern Indiana, extreme southern lower Michigan, western Ohio. Providing this live update because it just came across my thing about a half hour ago, so I've been looking at some models really quick for that. But here is the current threat analysis from the Storm Prediction Center right here. You have the slight risk area across central northern Indiana, western Ohio, extreme southern Indiana as well. Hopefully you all that are watching can see the comment. I can see the comments. That's the hope, because I'm not sure if it's working on Facebook here. But let me check and see if I can see the comments that are showing up. Looks like I can now. Okay, so slight risk for severe weather across portions of the Great Lakes region. It's actually a 5% tornado risk. So mainly this risk was raised due to a higher tornado and wind potential. Hail is not a factor in this particular forecast. It's not a very big slight risk area, but it is an area worth noting because there is a 5% tornado potential, which means there's a 5% chance of a tornado within any given point, or 25 miles of a point, listed in this region. I read the forecast discussion from the SPC about this potential. The potential is there, but again, it's going to have a lot to do with how much destabilization we see in the atmosphere. You have dew points in the 60s and 70s, which is right at the temperature that we are now. So pretty much the air is completely filled with moisture, with humidity values of 87% as I'm looking out on my thing right now. Cape values are at a measure of 1500, which is sufficient for scattered thunderstorm development, which is what they're saying in their discussion here. And they are projecting the potential for low and mid-level winds to increase, and also some wind shear at the lower levels that could cause a few rotating storms, with also some storms potentially producing some bowing segments, which means likely just some straight line wind damage with some shelf clouds rolling in as well. So they did increase this risk so they've raised it to a slight risk for southern Indiana and, well, not southern Indiana, northern Indiana, western Ohio, and extreme southwestern lower Michigan, as you can see on that map there. I'm looking briefly at the models before I started this stream here, so let's take a look. Let's back it up a little bit. Let's go to the HRRR model, the current time loop that is currently projected by the HRRR model. We'll also look at the NAM3K, which is, again, provides more of a worst case scenario type of deal. So let's look at this real quick. This is at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., so this is about an hour ago. Really not much activity across the Great Lakes region, but as you progress it a little bit off to the east, you can see the development of some cells here, some cell clusters here. These cells will have the potential of producing some severe weather across portions of the Great Lakes region. Northern Indiana in particular, we have some matches for tornado potential with the storms. Marginal tornado potential showing up on this model. As we continue to progress this is at about 7 p.m. It's still daylight out at the current time. You've got some widely scattered storms that are developed across the region. Even a storm up in St. Joe County, Michigan, that has marginal tornado potential as well. That hodograph, not really a strong reading from the hodograph there, but there is no capping in the atmosphere, indicating the potential for some severe weather development with some of these storms. So this is the time loop as it progresses. As we get to dark, the thunderstorms again kind of weaken with that lack of destabilization in the atmosphere, because the sun is not really shining as it did previously. So this looks like a threat mainly focused across northern Indiana, southwestern Michigan, western Ohio, but there is marginal severe weather potential across southern Indiana as well. So that's going to be something just want to take note of if you're in that region, but it doesn't look too terrible for you down there. The real focus area is apparently northern Indiana, western Ohio, and southern lower Michigan. So That is the current hazard from the HRRR. Let's look at the NAM3K. Just updated recently, so there's not really too much, but it's enough to where we can get data readings for the next several hours. What the NAM3K is projecting is that the development of some clusters of thunderstorms across parts of central Indiana will intensify and move into the northern Indiana region and possibly form few supercells in this region capable of producing damaging winds, and again that possibility for a tornado exists as well based on some of the soundings that we are receiving. A lot of this is cape driven. It's very cape driven. You've got cape values of 2100 according to the NAM3K and that tornado potential. A lot of this is based on how much instability we will have in the atmosphere as these storms begin to move in. So after a storm moves through, it's likely that storms behind that will weaken because of the destabilization that's in the atmosphere right now because of the humidity and the kind of breaks in the clouds we've been seeing today. Those are what are driving this event later on this evening. So you've got some clusters of thunderstorms starting to develop across, moving into along the Michigan Indiana border. Again, still showing that tornado potential with that lower cloud bases also as well. Cape values of about 1,000. So still sufficient for thunderstorm development, and then they become more linear and a bit more disorganized as they head into the Michigan area, packing a marginal severe risk, which is what is forecasted as well by the SPC. We got a new model run, and it really begins to weaken as we get towards dark because you do not have that deep stabilization that the sunshine provides in the atmosphere. So, expected to develop within the next hour or two. The storms are going to really take off at about 5 o'clock or maybe 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, which is an hour past that. So I'd say pretty soon these things will start to pop up at any moment. In fact, let's take a look at the live radar and get an idea of how those are really starting to take off. Got one cell in northwestern Indiana at the current present moment, and cells beginning to develop across portions of central Indiana as well, as projected by the model right there. So it looks like we've got some storms that looks like they could begin to develop. They still need to organize across parts of central Indiana before they really start to intensify. But again, this is driven much by the destabilization in the atmosphere and the low-level wind shear that is currently being projected by the models as well. Let's take a look at that real quick. Take a look at the reflectivity models according to the HRRR. I want to go to the severe weather parameters real quick. So let's go to, this is about 7 p.m. once again. I think there's a new model run. Yeah, let's look at the newer model run for that. Not available as of right now, but we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll go to 8 o'clock when we see these storms start to develop in northern Indiana. Get that sounding again, packing a tornado potential across parts of Napanee region. Those types of towns could see some severe weather. Let's look at the supercell composite, the capability of the atmosphere to produce some supercells. Again, that's a little measure of 3 or 4, so that's not very high given the current scenario. Lapse rates, no lapse rates in the atmosphere. Not really. This is not really a driving factor of these tornadoes. Cape values again, 10 to 1500 across portions of northern Indiana, sufficient for thunderstorm development. Storm relative velocity, the measure of spin in the atmosphere, it's elevated at a little in some regions. So there is some elevated spin in the atmosphere as you get into northern Indiana as well. So that's where some storms really could take off and produce some rotating supercells. Energy helicity, the measure of the potential for a certain atmosphere to produce tornadoes, is at about a 2 across parts of northern Indiana. And the significant tornado parameters are again elevated along parts of the Elkhart, South Bend region, and you have some other areas surrounding that have some potential as well. Let's get a crossover of the winds. You can see how the low-level winds are really turning. You've got, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, you've got it coming out of the southwest. In the mid-layer, you have out of the south, and then the surface you have coming out of the east. So that can really drive rotation within these storms to develop. Updraft velocity kind of gives us an idea of a possible tornado path. Again, that's near Howe, Indiana, and parts of St. Joseph County are included in that as well. And again, that central Indiana and western Ohio is in that threat zone as well, and we see some updraft velocity values showing up across parts of eastern Indiana as well. But southern Indiana doesn't look really in this potential too much. So cloud bases really have a role in the potential for a storm to produce a more damaging winds, maybe possible tornadoes, and cloud bases do look kind of low according to the current model run. So that's going to be something that we want to watch as well. As you're watching this, be sure to leave a comment if you have questions regarding this potential threat. This is the newer model from the NAM3K. Actually, let's update it to the current time frame. That's what we want to see right there. So this is at about, again, 7 p.m. This shows a lot more thunderstorms developing from this particular activity. Let's take a look at supercell composites. Probably going to be higher on this model. Yes, it is across parts of northeastern Indiana, which again is probably going to be a target area if I plan to storm chase this evening, which that is going to be a possibility, but chances of that right now are looking a little bit lesser rather than more, but we'll see. So supercell composite values of about 7, good enough to prompt a slight risk, I would assume, by the SPC. Again, the SPC is where you should go to get all of this better information. Where can we expect a severe threat? When can we expect a severe threat to be out of southern central Indiana? After sunset. That's really what I'd say. After sunset would be the better time to say that this severe weather threat be out of the area, because it's really instability driven with that sunshine that's going to be, I'm not sure, I haven't checked the cloud cover values across parts of southern Indiana as well, if the sun is out or not, but that is really driving this event along with the low level winds, and currently it looks like cloud cover is kind of broken in some spots, but not incredibly broken across parts of the places we're expecting severe weather. So I'd say about an hour or two after sunset, the storms will begin to weaken and you should be clear. I don't think it's going to be a very good risk across parts of southern Indiana. It really looks more focused across northern Indiana, southwestern Michigan. Those places look like potential. And again, potential's not very high here. There's just a couple ingredients coming together. Right now, if I were to really honestly judge this, it looks pretty sloppy, but it is there a good potential that's more relevant than some of the chances that we've had. Like the last severe weather potential with that tornado that popped up in Gaylord over the weekend, I believe, was not a very good potential across parts of this due to the capping in the atmosphere. This time we don't have a cap, as much of a cap based on soundings across parts of northern Indiana. If you look at that analysis of the temperature, different layers of the atmosphere, really not showing a cap, but there is tornado potential with Cape values 1500. The photograph's showing kind of an arc. It's a little bit of a sloppy arc on the photograph, but still, it is there. So really, it's going to be a hit and miss. Excuse me, hit and miss potential with this. Energy Helicity Index, according to the NAM3K model, is again showing measure of spin in the atmosphere once again in northern Indiana, northeastern Indiana, showing about a level of 2, which is not terribly high, so not a significant event, but still supercell composites go up to 7 or 8 based on the current models. I want to look at the different values of wind in the atmosphere. Again, this is showing a similar setup to the HRRR, where you have at the upper levels of the atmosphere, you have southwesterly winds, mid-layer southern winds, surface winds out of the southeast that can really bring those low-level winds, causing them to rotate and cause potential for the development of supercells. So that's what is currently projected according to the models, and the SPC has factored that into their outlook for northern Michigan, western Indiana, southern Michigan as well. So that's really the update I wanted to give. I really have to head out. This was just a quick update I wanted to give regarding this event. If I plan on chasing, I will be targeting the extreme northern counties of Indiana and southern Michigan counties as well. I'm going to try to stay local once again. If something crops up where a tornado warning appears in parts of parts farther south, I will likely travel to that location. But again, it is all dependent on how these storms initiate later on. I want to look at the SPC real quick to see if they've put anything out about monitoring the potential in southern Indiana. So far, nothing yet, but they just updated their risk area, and it has maintained a similar setup to the one that they had before. So I'll keep you guys updated on what goes on, and I will try to live stream if I plan on chasing on Facebook. I'll probably live stream on Facebook, so check out the Facebook page if you're not on it just yet. But excuse me, keep your eyes peeled for a live stream on that. Alright, that's all I wanted to give you. Make sure to stay updated using all our different platforms and also the platforms of your local news station. The NWS and the SBC all have this information for you as well. So, stay updated, stay alert, and I will keep you aware of things that tend to crop up. Alright, see y'all later.